So I'm going to talk about on the smart manufacturing and agile logistics, right? So let me talk about agile logistics to start with because they go hand in hand, right? Without if you manufacture a lot, there is no is not being sold, there's an issue, right? So logistics and manufacturing goes in hand to hand. So what if I told you 7 years back, if you order a phone, you would get it in 7 minutes? Was that possible 7 years back? I tried it earlier, maybe 7 years back. It used to take 7 days at least, minimum, right? The e-commerce website. But today, it's possible. Yesterday, I think you must have heard the news recently, right? The people in India, 7 minutes, iPhone is delivered. Can you imagine? So welcome to India, all of you who are planning to set up the business or venture. That's new India, right? So can you guess who is doing it? It's not Amazon's or Walmart. It's predominantly they started as a groceries and a home needs. Now they jumped into the technology, right? So they are able to do that. How can they do that, right? That's a challenge. What they have solved the basic problem of logistics, which I think bigger companies still are struggling, I know, right? So these guys have come up with a new way of serving it in 7 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, right? So even my wife orders it before I have a coffee, right? She starts making coffee, she says, Naveen, sugar is out. So what do we do? Whether you go and buy it or order it. She has more confidence on getting it online than me getting it from outside. So it's so fast, right? So basically, if you look at, right, so if you go back to the slide, please. So logistics is very important. So maybe I'll come back, go to the last slide probably. I'll come from the logistics back to the manufacturing because Marcus talked about manufacturing, so I'll try to integrate both the world. So maybe 2-3 slides later, please. Yeah, after this, please. Okay. So there is something called agile logistics. So we know that traditional logistics works the way, right? When some days back you order by phone, and then the vendor or a customer, anybody who is manufacturing would deliver it. That was predominantly old, and then the e-commerce came. And now there is something called, new terminology I'm hearing, is called fast e-commerce. The e-commerce is actually fading away and everybody is getting into the fast e-commerce. What they are doing it, right? So their involvement is a lot of technology. One is a very good GUI for the front end, for the people, any user, right? Even my father, who is 75 years, orders a lot of things. I don't have to train him. So easy for him, isn't it? So then beyond that, what happens, right? So we'll just try to understand. I know it's 9 minutes, so I'll just make it fast, right? So one is after GUI, you have to have a very strong ERP system, intelligent ERP system. And behind that is an algorithm, a lot of algorithm that runs. I'll give you a gist of it, what it runs, right? So imagine somebody has to deliver it, right? So it has to find which is the shortest path, who can deliver it right, is the weather condition right, and where is the logistics. Now they call it as a dark house logistics, where especially the groceries and all, they come up, dark house logistics, which is very localized. They can quickly deliver it, right? All this is a very algorithm, basic algorithm that runs. That happens when they have a lot of data as well, right? So they develop the data over a period of time and used machine languaging, and then the AI is implemented onto that. With that, they are able to get what it can be delivered, right? I don't know if they are following any nanometer technology like 7 nanometer, 2 nanometer, maybe they come down to 2 minutes as well over a period of time. Maybe drones stopping it can reduce it from 7 to 2 as well. So that's the fast. So beyond this, what I'm trying to mention here is the supply chains have, rather than looking at inventory, they have a data for this, right? So what could predict? They could predict this area or this part of the segment, right, could have a delivery. There could be a more demand for a delivery. So they create virtual systems there, and an intelligent system and a lot of process integration. That makes kind of, the agile logistics that drives the commerce. But this is very helpful because we are talking today make in India, right? When you make in India, if you do not have this kind of logistics, we will be undersupplied or oversupplied, right? This kind of algorithms helps us to predict when this has to be manufactured more. This can be used in semiconductor industry, food industry, even semiconductor industry. Just in 2018, when we had a COVID, I remember all the semiconductor companies, right? They were full of supplies, all the semiconductor chipset. After post-COVID, suddenly there's an increase of demand for the chipsets, and they couldn't deliver. All this can be predicted with the intelligent agile system, right? That is very, very important for us to have it. Then we'll go back to the manufacturing, and then we'll try to connect manufacturing and the e-commerce to this. This should go hand in hand, according to me. Okay. So if you can go back to the first slide, please. Okay, I think Marcus spoke about it very short, right? So there are 4 generations of industrial revolution, right? So this was started in 18th century. That was called, that they're all steam powered. Later, it was on 20th century, there was electrically powered, and then the IT was used, and then 4.0, which Marcus did mention. I'm not going in detail, but I'll tell you how we at our companies use these models very efficiently as a user, right? If you can go back to the next slide. Okay. So, our companies, I do visit globally a lot of manufacturing because I come from a design, so where we collect requirements for globally, and then I manage a lot of design automation teams and AI teams. So I also visit factories globally. When we visit factories, I see a lot of our factories is, Marcus, if you have heard about light out factories or dark factories, right? We have a lot of light outs, which is a sustainable factory. What it does is it's autonomous. Everything is autonomous. A robot runs, there is absolutely, a whole factory is shut down, right? So it's an algorithm that is built to handle efficiently, right? So that's a light out factory. And then if a factory has to be done, we do a lot of simulations for this. Suppose if you have to build a product, let's assume a RF amplifier or something, right? So before we start the line, what we do is we do simulate using a lot of tools, right, on the efficiency part of it. How do we efficiently, because we have to have a yield, that yield requirement, and also we will have to see how perfectly we can manufacture. So for that, we may have to create, one is physical simulations. Sometimes we use called as twins, similar to the model. We will create a mock-up model for this, run through the actual lines to see how it can be manufactured, right, efficiently. So without fallouts. That's important because when you are manufacturing at a large scale, we talk about sometimes, millions of products at the same time. Yield is very important. Right? So simulation is very important. And then IoTs, right? So very interesting topic this. IoTs can be of any type, right? So it can be sensors, it can be gauge, it can be actuators, a lot of it, right? So predominantly we do have cameras as well, the things, cameras, sensors. We do monitor a lot of temperature when we run the test and see how they are performing, right? So let's assume when it's passing through the line, we do have some kind of testers to run and see the temperature, and then we do measure that, and if there is any over temperature or something, then we call it as a failure. So we move out of it. So it's quickly done without any intervention. That's one of the things. And so a lot of it on the cyber, if you talk about IoTs, then we talk about cyber security, because Industry 4.0 is about all, modernization, right, instead of a traditional way. So cyber security, because once all of machines are in this Industrial 4.0, machines are supposed to talk each other. Suppose, imagine there is a failure in a machine, it should communicate to another machine that there is a failure and switch to another machine, right, to start the production. So in this, you are allowing to access the whole ports of the outside world. cyber security plays a lot of role. So we have a whole bunch of IT engineers to manage all the cyber security. Of course, all the data is stored in the cloud. I spoke about additive. And augmented reality is also used, but sometimes I have not seen everywhere, but this is, even in our factories, I didn't see augmented reality for sure. But I think this is something it will catch up soon. But maybe in some factories they're using it, but whatever I've seen, probably not used. And analytics is very important. This is predominantly used on the analytics because we can predict the failures, we can predict a lot of things, right? So failure in the sense, behavior of human being as well, a lot of time, and the failure of data, and to switch to the another machines. All of this can be done with the analytics, right? And then, as I mentioned, robotics. All of this constitutes as a smart factory, but iron is, I've visited several factories across India. Not everybody is using all of them, but if you have to make in India, and especially, right, we are all moving towards semiconductors, fabs, all of this require at least some kind of modernization. So maybe out of 10, probably I've seen 2 factories that is of this scale, large scale, but there's a lot of that needs to be cast up for a period of time. So next slide, please. Yeah, just I'm not going to read it. So this will help Industry 4.0 increase productivity, efficiency, higher quality, improved safety. Safety is also important because we are talking about robots. We can use robots at a place where having human is hazardous. There's a place we can use it, improved safety. Any risk can be avoided with the use of robots. I think I did spoke about it, so I have one video of it last, probably you can play with that. So for India, what's next for India, right? So we are looking at a lot of manufacturing. I had now, yeah.
Why do you do it? So you can tap into the collective know-how of our ecosystem and workshop the art of the possible. Walk away with a roadmap tailored to your company's digital transformation goals to help you drive your own improvements in velocity, cost, quality, and safety across your entire digital supply network. To make a difference for the next generation by making STEM education more accessible to young people. And to help the world at large by powering all of this with net zero emissions using sustainable and renewable technologies like solar panels and wind turbine trees. The best part? This is just the beginning.
Okay, this video I found it in a YouTube. It's not my video, proprietary of somebody, probably Deloitte. Okay. So it's an integration of agile logistics and manufacturing, because this should go hand in hand. To summarize, if you have large production and it cannot be managed to sell it, then we are in a loss, right? So that's a traditional. So if agile logistics can manage this production, how much to produce, when to produce, what to produce, and then the factory can be sent those information and this production happens, that's the best. Today, even at the semiconductor, at the highest technology level, we do not have that system, even though there is a proof of concept and very less of used. Thank you.